The top 5 reasons you might be losing your pageant and what to do about it. Hey there, welcome back to the Win a Pageant podcast. I'm your host, Alycia Darby. In this episode, I'm going to walk you through 5 real reasons that women lose pageants, and I'm going to give you some specific guides on what you can do about it. Now, the very first thing, I'm actually going to go like kind of in the broadest order down into the one that isn't as common. Okay, so most women will lose their pageant, this is going to come as no surprise to you, because they don't have the look, okay? They just don't have the look. They haven't discovered what this pageant is looking for in the marketing, the sponsor of who is really the spokesperson of this pageant, okay? So when you know how pageants will hire a makeup artist or they'll have a sponsor that is a makeup artist or hair person or headshot sponsor. All of those people are giving you clues to what the look is that this pageant is looking for. Now, so does the past history of queens, but if you're competing in a pageant that has no history of queens, then you need to look at the sponsors, okay? Whenever you see someone is sponsoring a pageant, it's usually because that's the look this pageant is trying to achieve with their winners, okay? And when you become the winner, you are now the key marketing piece to the whole pageant puzzle, okay? So they're gonna be looking for that look. Now that does not mean that you need to be like a size 0 and super tall and a blonde or whatever. It's different. For every pageant system, their look is something perhaps a little bit different. What you can do is show up with your own marketing package of how you will be presented. So your hair and makeup is going to match what they might be looking for. You're gonna learn that, right? You have to learn, okay, how do they want it? And either you're gonna hire somebody to do that for you to capture that look, or you're gonna learn how to do it yourself, okay? Are they looking for gowns that are very simple? Are they looking for gowns that are more puffy ball gowns? Are they looking for tons of sparkle and jazz, or not so much? And then you're going to adapt to that thing, okay? So first, you gotta have the look. Okay, now let's say that you've got the look. You're like, but Alycia, I have the look. Why else might I be losing the pageant? There's another reason that's kind of at the top that is pretty obvious when someone loses a pageant. It's obvious, at least to the audience. And that is when somebody's just too stiff. They're like really super stiff the entire time that they're competing. They're walking really stiff. They're trying to make everything perfect. It's just awkward. It's just they're too stiff. And that could even be too stiff in the way that they're speaking, you know? Like it could just come off as she just doesn't have that much practice, okay? So the way that you heal this problem is by practicing. Great ways to practice are by, of course, yeah, mock interviews. Lots of people just want to do mock interviews till they're blue in the face, but mock interviews will often reinforce bad habits because you just keep doing a mock interview and they're like, oh, you should have said this different, or maybe you could have smiled more or whatever. The best way to do actual practice is to, especially with your communication skills, is to do media interviews, okay? Get on some podcast episodes. Go to your local television stations to promote your legacy project. That's how my clients do it, is they create a legacy project that gets them in the door to those media outlets or to podcast channels. You've got something to promote then, right? So you've got that experience, real life experience. For teens or for younger contestants, the best way to get real life experience is to go to appearances. Parents that bring their children, especially teens, along with them into adult atmospheres and encourage their child to talk to those adults in an adult way, those teens do better because they've had real life experience, okay? So if it's not the look, you're like, Alycia, I got the look. And you're not too stiff. You're like, Alycia, I'm not too stiff. I know it's not those two things. Okay. The third reason it could be is that you have what I would call a failure to thrive. Bless her heart. A failure to thrive shows up especially when a contestant has competed in the same pageant multiple times. And even if the judges are different, which usually they are year over year, the judges are different. So this girl keeps competing and she thinks, well, it's different judges, so it's fine if I've done nothing between now and last year. But that's not true. Because oftentimes the judges will look at this woman and say, she's obviously knows what she's doing. She's done some research. She's showing up. She looks the part. She's well practiced. So they'll ask questions about, so what have you been up to the last year? Where has your legacy project grown over the last 3 months, 3 years, for those of you who've been working on your legacy projects or your platforms for a really long time? We want to see that you are thriving, ongoing progress, thriving continuously, okay? Not a failure. A failure to thrive points out to the judges that no matter how much time you're given, you will not become a success. That's what it's communicating to the judges. If they're asking you something like, oh, so you're like, oh, I've had my scholarship fund for 4 years now. And they're like, awesome. How much is your scholarship up to? How much did you give this last year? And if you're like $500, then they're like, what? You mean you tell me you've been doing this for 4 years and the most that you could raise is $500? Like, this is not a good sign. Right? You know what I'm talking about, okay? The other thing is, even if you are brand new, it's your first pageant you've ever done, or it's your first pageant at this level, so maybe you competed years ago when you were a teen, but now you're in a Mrs. pageant and you're like, I just learned about a legacy project and I know I need to have a platform, and how do I do all of this? What we are trying to show is that there has been progress in no matter what time frame that you've been working in, okay? So if it's 3 weeks, 3 months, or 3 years, there should be incremental progress that this thing that you are designing, that you've created, is continuing to grow. Okay, that's number 3. All right, so now let's say that you're like, but Alycia, I've got the look, I'm not too stiff, I'm continuing to grow in my contributions to my community and to those around me. What else could it possibly even be? Okay, it could be that you do not have a solid marketing plan. And a solid marketing plan works great for my Miss, Ms., and Mrs. contestants. Teens, I still recommend that you have a marketing plan. In fact, the teens that end up with a marketing plan are like, dang, this girl's good. Like, they end up judging you so much better, because so much stronger, because they're like, wow, she actually has a vision for how she's going to market our pageant alongside her platform, or in our case, a legacy project, which I encourage you to have throughout the year. So what this would look like is, if I were to ask you as a judge, in fact, I recently judged a pageant and I asked all of my contestants, if you were to win this pageant, what would you want to do with the year? Another way of asking it is like, what's your vision for the year ahead? Or what's the first thing that you would do? Okay, these types of questions is the judge's opportunity to help understand, if I give you this very important title, can I trust you with it? Are you going to be able to take this pageant and take this platform to the next level? And if you have no plan, then it's like, well, that girl didn't really know how she was gonna do it. I want to hire somebody that can hit the ground running, okay? So you've gotta have a plan, like a really good plan. In the Win a Pageant Academy, we talk about the promise, the proof, and the plan, and that becomes your on-stage answer, okay? That can literally answer almost every single question on stage. That's why my clients do so well with on-stage answers and inside their interview, because they know what they're promising, they know the proof of the matter, and they've got the plan. In fact, I'm gonna drop a link for you so that you can get access to just that piece of the training. I've got a free downloadable guide for you, so I'll give you that, but you gotta have a plan. Okay, now let's say that you're like, but Alycia, I've got the look, I'm not too stiff, I know I have no failure to thrive. In fact, I've been increasing my project year over year, and I've got a plan. It's a really great plan. I know that they're gonna absolutely love it. What am I missing? It is possible that you're missing a brand. Oftentimes we enter pageants and we do all the fun things, all the things that everybody sees. But the very first thing that you've got to do, no matter where you are in your life, a transitional time in life requires a brand. And by brand, I mean you've got to know it's your why, but it's deeper than that. It's not just why I'm competing in this pageant. It's like really like, why do I exist on this planet? Okay, that's what you want to discover as your brand. What is the thing that you are bringing? And it should be very cohesive. Okay, in the academy, this is what my coaches work with. That's what your coach should be doing for you, in fact, is that they should be helping you discover the blind spots, the things that you can't see that are holding you back from understanding the through line that connects all of the pieces of who you are. There's a thing that draws all of those pieces together. That's what we call in the pageant industry, we call that your pageant brand. That's what you need to identify, because you might have the look, you might be supernatural, you might have all those other things in place, but if you don't know who you are, a lot of things can fall out. The very first thing that I do with all of my clients is help them identify who they are. It's so important for you to know, who am I and what am I doing on this planet? When you become crystal clear on that, all those other things will easily fall into place. And that, my dear, is how you win a pageant. I'll see you next time.